Charlie's just received the enormous sum of $650,000 in the form of a MacArthur grant. This is for the theater work he conducted during the marriage.
Installments over 5 years.
So by Jay's same logic, this is work that Nicole contributed to in numerous ways.
And to pay back debts that he's accumulated with his theater company that stars his wife.
How men are divorce graped in court. Marriage Story. Welcome to Manager Highlights Daily. In the movie Marriage Story with Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, divorce is the main focus of the story, and this movie shows that divorce definitely does not work in a man's favor. Let's take a look at the meaning of divorce so you know what we're highlighting in this video. Number 1, an official or legal process to end marriage. Number 2, the action or an instance of legally dissolving a marriage. Now before we get into the highlights, this video contains a lot of spoilers, so you've been warned. Now before we get into this, we have to respect the YouTube guidelines. That's why you will get a censored and filtered YouTube friendly version. Unfortunately, it takes away the full experience and lowers the quality of the content. So we've decided to put the original, uncensored and unfiltered versions of our videos on Patreon. So if you like what we do and you want to experience our content to the fullest extent, support us on Patreon. Now it's time for us to dive into this and do what we have to do, because we men and we men and we.
I'm not going to read this out loud.
Why is that?
Because I don't like what I wrote.
As we mediate your separation and eventual divorce, things can get quite contentious. So I like to begin with a note of positivity for the people I work with to remember why they got married in the first place. And so that as you come apart, you're reminded that this is a person you had great feeling for and maybe still do in many ways.
This scene is interesting because you don't have to go to court to get a divorce. Mediation is a popular method of ADR, alternative dispute resolution. Mediators are trained professionals, typically lawyers or child custody experts, who assist the spouses in working out their differences. The couple will provide the mediator with information and documents, such as tax returns, in advance and meet with the mediator as often as necessary to reach a settlement. The goal is to reduce the settlement terms to a written agreement. Mediation is ordinarily much less stressful than a contestant divorce. Sessions are relatively informal and often take place in the mediator's office. And although the couple can have attorneys with them, it's not required, which adds to the cost effectiveness of the mediation process. In fact, having attorneys present can at times be counterproductive, particularly if an attorney is combative. You will have to pay the mediator, but that cost is usually shared.
I'll read mine. I like what I wrote.
For it to really work, you both have to read.
I'm not going to.
Okay, I just think it's a shame that you guys aren't going to get to hear the wonderful things you wrote about each other.
She always says I can't write, but I think mine's pretty good.
Nicole, maybe you'd change your mind once you heard Charlie's.
I don't want to hear Charlie's.
We promised to listen.
That's right. That's the very first step in this process.
Well, I think I'm going to go if you two are going to just sit around and suck each other's
Scarlett Johansson's character, Nicole, does not want to cooperate. 9 times out of 10, they advise couples to go to mediation to resolve the situation among themselves. You can solve a lot of problems if you're willing to work together. Keyword, willing. Modern women are not here to cooperate with you, even if it would benefit both parties. Listen to this clip of Johnny Depp.
Do you want to go to court, Amber? Seriously? Do you want to go to court with this? I'm offering you right now an opportunity for us to make this finish in peace. Peaceful, man. We walk away, you go do what you gotta do, I'll go do what I gotta do. I've been through the hurt. You've been through the hurt. I love you more than anything in life. But I do not want to go into a court with you. I do not want to tarnish your name. I don't want to tarnish. I don't want nothing. I want this to be done peacefully between us. And if you don't like the way that mediation is going, take me back to court, kid. Because I can't. This is the last chance, Amber. This is it. Once they file those papers, we don't turn around, man.
He wants peace, but Amber Heard wants to take this to court, and they are still fighting in court, and both parties are losing. Now, why would she want to go to court? Because the law works in her favor.
Charlie?
Yeah. Thanks.
She got herself an attorney and serves him. Now he has to go get himself an attorney as well.
What?
She's being represented by Nora.
She's supposedly very fair?
Here's the fact, Jack. I charge $950 an hour. Ted is $400. If you have a stupid question, you call Ted. To start, we'll need a $25,000 retainer.
Oh, that's more than I
In all
can...
your financials, we need to do a forensic accounting.
Attorneys cost money. Lawsuits cost money. And that's why James Sexton wrote the book called If You're in My Office, It's Already Too Late, a divorce lawyer's guide to staying together.
Right? So it's the same thing with marriages. You know, there's this, single raindrop's responsible for the flood. You know, there's these little
They all add up.
arguments, these little issues that people have, and they just build and build and build and build to the point where once that dam breaks, by the time you're in my office, it's done. It's rare that people can come back from that.
Yeah.
Like Kenshiro said, you're already dead. What I like about this scene is that it shows you that Adam Driver's character, Charlie, is in a lose-lose situation.
You were married here in LA?
Yes, because her mom and sister are out here and I'm not close with my
Your
family.
son was born out here.
Yes, because again, her mom and sister are out here and I'm not...
So you got married here, your kid was born here, and she served you here.
Yeah, but we lived in New York. Why? There a problem?
We're gonna have to reshape the narrative.
If you're serious about having your child in New York, this is what I suggest. You take your kid, you take Henry to New York with you right now. Then we file an action in New York. We make this a New York case.
We need to make an argument you're a New York-based family.
Well, we are.
Otherwise, you'll probably never see your kid outside of LA again.
Really? No.
It's very hard to convince the courts to move a kid. As soon as you let your wife and child leave New York, you made life very difficult for yourself.
They're talking about the state of California. Let's take a look at California divorce entitlements when it comes to property. When you file for divorce in California, any property you acquired prior to marriage, during your marriage by gift, devise, or bequest, or after the date of legal separation is deemed separate property and will remain legally yours upon the dissolution of your marriage. The court considers this property separate property. On the other hand, any acquired asset, debt, or income a married person earns while living with a spouse is community property. California law requires the community estate to be divided equally between divorcing spouses unless otherwise agreed upon by both parties. So when you get married, we're not talking about you and me anymore. We're talking about us now. For example, if a spouse obtained a professional degree or license during the marriage, the community may be eligible for reimbursement of the cost of acquiring it. Such costs may include tuition, fees, and books. Other examples of community property include house, car, furniture, clothing, bank accounts, and cash, pension plans and retirement accounts, business, patents, debts. And most women marry up, so you're screwed.
Charlie?
Yes, sorry. Default judgment, what does that mean? Don't know.
We'll be able to lay claim to whatever we want.
What do you mean, whatever you want of what?
Your apartment, your things, everything you own.
She and I already discussed this. We don't own that much stuff. She can have pretty much whatever
And it
she...
means we'll set the number of child support at its highest level and claim full custody of your child.
Full custody. I mean, that's not even...
This is what the law says.
This is what the law says. Simply put, a default judgment is a judgment against a defendant who fails to answer a lawsuit. If a person or entity is sued and ignores the lawsuit entirely, the person or entity suing has the ability to get a judgment upon meeting certain criteria. What I like about Charlie is that he's flabbergasted. He doesn't know what's happening to him. Look at what James Sexton has to say about this.
You know, people don't learn that. You don't get a piece of paper when you get married that explains that to you. You're signing up for a contract you don't know the terms of. You know, and again, I think you're just sort of assuming that it's a fair contract. You haven't read it, but you just assume it's a fair contract. Getting married is like when you just agree to the terms of service on the app that you just bought.
You have no clue what it's
right, no clue. But if that app could take half your 401k and your house and leave with your kids, you might read the terms of service before you just kept hitting accept, you know, and that's the reality.
The foolishness. That's why we make these videos, guys. It's not about agreeing with everything we say or present to you. We want you to think. Use your brain. We don't hate women. It is what it is with them. But what are you gonna do to make the most out of your life?
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Charlie gets him an attorney and something interesting happens.
I charge $4.50 an hour and I need a $10,000 retainer to start.
I'll see if I can get an advance on the Broadway transfer.
And keep in mind, you'll have to pay for her lawyer.
Oh, I didn't. What?
Family Code, Section 2030, states that each party shall have equal access to legal representation in a divorce, legal separation, and annulment proceeding, and this means that one spouse may be required to pay the attorney fees of the other spouse. So she initiates the divorce, and now you have to pay your lawyer and her lawyer as well. Remember, you sign up for this shit. Now this next scene is why I love movies so much. It's about the way they tell the story and what they want you to see. Nicole's attorney is portrayed as a strong, independent woman that is one of the best lawyers out there. So she consistently destroys the arguments that Charlie's attorney is making. So this happens.
We didn't have a deal. It was something we discussed, but...
So it's a deal when it's something you want and a discussion when Nicole wants it?
Sidebar. Nora, you have a spare office where Charlie and I can sidebar?
Sure.
Nora's a very good lawyer.
Sidebar! Nora's a good lawyer. Nora did nothing impressive here, okay? You don't have to go to law school to know that the law doesn't work in your favor when it comes to divorce. All that chit-chat doesn't change the outcome. It just looks good for the movie. But in reality, you're already dead.
And I know it seems unfair. But imagine if you were a poor mother whose husband abandons her and then refuses to pay anything. That's what the system is trying to protect people from.
It makes sense because women were housewives back in the day and they were depending on their husbands. That's not how it works today.
Look, women are now using the government as their husband, and that's what is wanted. You got to understand that's the idea of it. And many people, I think most people are fooled by that. And I think most women tend to be very, I'm stereotyping, but they tend to be more collectivist. They tend to sort of be more in that socialist mindset.
Daddy G will help these females out. That's why they have no problem going to court.
I don't see a judge moving this child from California. I think we try and settle today.
Settle meaning what?
She gets LA.
No, Bert, just no. I mean, we have to win this.
Charlie is fighting for his kid and he doesn't want to settle. His lawyer already knows the outcome, but Charlie still believes that he has a fighting chance. So to make a long story short, this is how it ends.
So, because Charlie dropped his claim to New York, we're mostly done. Jay's lost interest, Ted, his associate's doing the paperwork.
And we're not taking any money, right?
We withdrew our claim for the MacArthur, which I think we could have gotten, by the way.
Yes, Nicole can get everything she wants. On top of the community property, there's also spousal support. Upon divorce in California, you may be entitled to spousal support. A spousal support order requires one spouse or domestic partner to pay the other a specified amount of money each month. When determining whether to award spousal support, a judge will consider several factors such as length of the marriage, domestic violence, age and health of both parties, supporting spouse ability to pay, tax consequences, goal of self-support. This case was too easy. They served him in California, he lived in New York, no prenup, he was a cheater, his son wants to be with his mother and live in LA. He cut himself when he was observed by an evaluator. That's what I didn't like about the movie. It was a one-way street. He was constantly portrayed as a buffoon, as well as other men in the movie. But that's not a surprise because the movie is catered to a female audience. The feel of the movie is essential. Women are superior or victims, and men are buffoons or assholes. Women file 70 to 80% of the divorces, and almost 90% of all cases, women get child custody. Marriage in modern Western society is foolishness.
And whenever Charlie is in LA, I got the custody breakdown to be 55-45. So you'll have Henry an extra day every 2 weeks.
I thought we made it equal.
I tweaked it at the last minute. I just didn't want him to be able to say he got 50-50, bragging to his friends.
But I don't want to do that.
Take it. You won.
This video has officially been highlighted.